Trying to find your next spot for a show or event? Look no further, because Stutterbox Productions is here to help. If you're looking for a solid team of people to get you started with your next gig or event, these are the people to contact. They're bringing back Field Trip September 16th and 17th, and have plenty of more other shows lined up. So what are you waiting for? Head over to Stutterbox Productions' Facebook page for all of your needs today. If you want to plan your next video or project, Guerrilla Graphics Design Agency can provide you with a clean and fresh looking product. Having personally collaborated with this company several times, I can say from experience that they know their shit, and working with them has been worth every fucking penny. They have everything you can ask for with professional equipment and a stellar end product from top to bottom. Head over to GuerrillaGraphics.com for all your needs today. That's GuerrillaGraphics.com. Hello everybody, you're watching / listening to the McAllister Hours. I'm your host Cole McAllister. We're here today on a very hot, sweaty, muggy day.
Out of nowhere.
Out of fucking nowhere. We were just bitching about this before the podcast. Michael M Jeni. Jenny, hey. How the fuck you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great. How you been, man?
I've been good. I've been, we were talking earlier, the podcast has been doing really well.
For sure it has been, man. I see everything on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, man. It's good to see that, what you're doing is taking off and working.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Well, it really gives me a sense of direction. Mm-hmm. I'm in the reason I'm drinking at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
1 o'clock.
Hey, if you watch our last episode, we lay it out there. We're transparent about our alcohol usage.
Okay. I don't think I'm an alcoholic, but I don't mind a brewski. It's not like I wake up every single day like I need a drink to get out of bed, but on a day off, 1 o'clock, hey, let me have one or two,
Yeah,
Doesn't
yeah.
mind.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a free country. It's
right.
not. That's what they tell us anyways.
Right. We got to enjoy ourselves somehow. We got to de-stress,
Yeah, we got to be fucking free somehow.
Right.
Yeah, well, and there's different degrees of alcoholism,
Yes.
I'm not like hitting the pint at 9 a.m.
Right, right.
You see those videos of people whose like livers are just shot, and they're like, I remember there was one where a guy, he would drink like a gallon pint of alcohol every day.
That is that is out of control.
That's like water. It's like it. And the thing that's really dangerous about that is like those people would fucking die literally if they quit.
Oh yeah, for sure, because their body is so dependent on it. I mean, it's unfortunate. Like I knew somebody like that if they didn't have alcohol in their system, like straight to the hospital. They're having the shakes, they're trembling because their body is so dependent on alcohol.
Yeah. Well, that's what worries me too about like the growth of Xanax,
right?
Benzos, because they have the very similar effect. Like if you don't wean off those, like you can really go through withdrawal and like have some serious problems.
Oh yeah, those the sertraline, like things like that. If you're such a frequent user and you go cold turkey, your body's like, the hell, like I need that shit. So then your body goes through withdrawals and stuff like that.
Yeah. Don't you gotta love that, you gotta be 21 to buy alcohol, but
right.
Xanax, you just have to be nervous on planes and
you get a script.
Yeah, and some people give for free,
Man, I don't know about that life. I've never done no ish like that. I've seen people off of that and they look like zombies.
Yeah. I took benzos on and off for probably like 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. I think marijuana usage really helped like coming off of it because I don't know if I should mention this. A family of close relative family member I know just started on Xanax, and like I was telling their other person keep an eye on them.
Right.
Like you should, like, even if a doctor says okay, here's some Xanax, like yeah, they're doing that, but they're also making a shit ton of money doing it.
Oh yeah. It's something to sell from a pharmaceutical company, and at the same time, like I don't knock people who use Xanax and what was the other one?
Well, just like benzos, like Xanax,
benzos,
anything like that.
If you use that for what it's intended for, then yeah, that's cool. But when you use it like recreationally for whatever you're trying to do, I'm like, that's where I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
you're getting a little bit dangerous. But you know, everybody's different how they deal with their stuff. So
Yeah, exactly. I definitely think it should be limited to like people who have severe, like if you're in a state where like you cannot prevent yourself from like hurting yourself or hurting someone else or something else crazy like that, like yeah, like give them a Xanax.
Oh, yeah,
but
for
you
sure.
know, honestly, I've never done this, and I don't really know how I feel, like know much about like the experience or how like I would do with that. But like ketamine, that's what they use that for. Like
Right.
kind of like a quick instant. Like if somebody's freaking out, they just like give them ketamine. Like they have like a little syringe and they just.
yeah, nah, I've never experienced that, but I bet that's an experience itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a dangerous things with those. It's a dangerous thing with those type of medications and things that quote unquote help the brain and stuff. So
Yeah, you gotta be knowledgeable in what you're doing, and you have to like think about it from like a outside perspective and like a real world perspective, like what's
Right.
really going on here.
right, it's you're messing with somebody's brain chemistry and how they operate. So it gets tricky a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Anyways, Michael M Jeni,
Yes, sir.
what you got in the works right now? What are you doing?
I think the last time I was here, I was working on a summer single, and then I dropped that, and then after that I kind of just stepped back for a little bit and put my focus towards the EP. So right now I haven't dropped any material in almost a year, because I believe I dropped in August. So during this time span, Relapse went to BET Jams. I was on national television. I've just really been working on kind of perfecting my craft for this EP, because I have a lot of material that I want to release, but I have to make sure that what I'm doing is actually right and not to rush anything. So 12 Coast 2, Good Vibes 2, we're working on the music video. That drops later on in June, but I'm going out to Texas, top of June to knock that out, and I'm excited. Definitely expect that. It's going to be something different that I haven't really put forward. Like, it's choreography. Like, I'm dancing. Like, I'm really trying to show y'all, like, hey, this is the lane I'm going with. And then after that, it's going to be the first thing off the EP, which I'm very excited about, and that sets the tone for the whole, EP, 6 tracks. It's going to be an awesome rollout. We did the photo shoot in Minneapolis at this Union Depot train station, and that was an experience itself. Shout out to, a family member of mine, Peace. She really got me out of my comfort zone. I was really able to, dance around, move a little bit, and get, kind of in my zone of, hey, I got to be comfortable doing a photo shoot. Because, like, a photo shoot, you can't really just be still and mute. You have to, feel the vibe. You got to have some music playing or something to get what you need done. So that alone, I'm very excited about.
Fuck yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, so it sounds like you're traveling a lot. Like, what have you all been doing? Like I'm assuming you kind of, COVID and all that, you kind of take a little time off. But like, what have you been all doing since then?
Since, like, with traveling, I've been all over the place. Let me backtrack and think, because it's been so long. I've been kind of, the end of last year, I was kind of just around, just working on promoting Relapse. And when this year came around, I just started traveling. Like, I went to Chicago to go do a little commercial thing for like FUBU, like a little clothing, rebranding thing. And that was something I've never done. Shout out to, one of my good friends, Moise and Io, who gave me the opportunity. And those are two great creatives that I, in a sense, look up to, because they're very far in what they're doing. And to see what they're doing in their craft is very inspiring. So shout out to those two. And that was, opportunity. But besides that, I don't think I've really done too much traveling. I mean, Minneapolis, Texas is what I'm really like gearing towards. Like, I'm trying to knock out. But besides that, it's just really been home base and just staying home, working on
Grinding.
music. Yeah, that's what I really just have to do, just stay home, because I'm really passionate about like what I'm about to give to y'all.
I see.
And when I drop, like, it's gonna be, I feel like it will be consistent and something that is very much needed, I feel like, for me.
That's awesome, man. The Kendrick Lamar approach, taking your time and fucking,
Have to.
Fuck yeah, yeah, man. I love your like unique, blend, especially like from what we have on the show usually. You have a very cool, you have a great voice. You have a cool way of doing things. So.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. And what did you say? You said you had like an interview or something recently? Or maybe I'm tripping. I don't
Interview.
know.
I think I said earlier, like, one of my music videos was on national television.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, that was very, very fun to see again, because it's a couple of my other music videos have also been on BET Jams, but this one, Relapse, was one of those like I was in awe of that, because this was one of those songs where it was personal, but I felt good about releasing it. It was one of my best songs I feel to date. And the fact that I look at the analytics and the numbers, and I'm like, wow, people are still streaming this like a year and some change later, and people are still talking about the song. And the video was placed a year later. I'm like, man, it's humbling, and that lets me know, like, hey, whatever I'm doing, something's working. So it just lets me know, like, hey, just keep grinding and keep being consistent, because that's what consumers want, and people that want to support you. If you show consistency, they're going to always tap in and be like, yo, I like this guy. I like what he's doing, because you're going to have, that side, and then, the other side where you don't really have people fucking with you for whatever dumb reasons that you don't understand. But at the end of the day, one thing I've always learned is, like, whatever you drop on social media, whatever it is, music, cool, they may not react to it, but they saw that shit. They may not like heart it or whatever, but just know they saw that shit. And that's enough for me, because, like, if I don't see certain numbers, I'm just like, all right, cool, let me keep pushing and keep going, because eventually when I drop something else, those numbers that I was expecting translate to that, because that was interesting to them. So it's just about consistency and just really trusting yourself about what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, I can appreciate that, like, especially, like, we were talking earlier, kind of like a podcast perspective, like, yeah, it is true that, like, everyone does see it, even if they're like, hey, I don't fuck with that, or like, this, like, for in your case, like, I don't really like this song or this video or whatever, like, but it's still in their mind, it's still seeing it, and, like, that's still a step above, most people who give it a try. They're like, oh, I put it out, oh, they don't like it, oh, okay.
Yeah, that is exactly 100%. That's actually, honestly, one of the reasons why I kind of stepped back for a little bit, because I'm not like upset about criticism. I can take criticism, because that lets me know I need to, that lets me know, hey, keep working at your craft, keep finding what you're looking for, stay true to yourself, work on your sound. But what I was hearing was like, hey, like, your certain records sound the same. Same beat structure, blah blah, and I'm thinking to myself, like, Afropop, Afrobeat is the same rhythm, the same, not the same rhythm, but it's a danceable groove. Not all the melodies are the same. I don't go into my studio and record the same melodies and songs and stuff, but to them it sounds like that. So when I hear those things, I'm just like, man. And it's pretty detailed and lengthy about what they're saying, and you read it and you have to kind of analyze it and be like, okay, this is how they feel, and you have to think logically how to respond, not to respond with emotions, but be like, hey, I can appreciate that, I understand where you're coming from. And it gets to a back and forth sometimes, and sometimes it has to end to, hey, I respect what you're saying, but my music is not for everybody. And through conversations and messages like that, I kind of step back and been like, okay, let me work on my penmanship and not just drop whatever if I feel that's what's going on. But I did take a step back and kind of reset and refocus, and after a while it just was just like, I'm doing the right thing. It might not be for them, but some things I can change, and through that it's just like, you got to keep going. Never use doubt or self-doubt or whatever is out there that's negative coming towards you knock what you're doing. Always remember that you're a dope person, and like nobody could really fuck with what you're doing or your lane.
Yeah, that's a really good self-critical perception of it. Because you're definitely not going to please everyone. Like, that's kind of an impossible goal. And I think, like, when you're initially doing something and you have those people that dislike it, almost, like, at this point, it's like, for me personally, it's like fuel almost. Oh, it's like, you're doing.
You hit the nail on the gun.
Yeah,
yeah. It's just like, oh, you said this. All right, watch this. This is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
It fuels you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like for me, like, posting on social, like, when, like, I'm at the point now where I just don't respond. Like, if I post something controversial, like, it's just there, and then I just watch the comments go. Like, especially on TikTok, Right. Like, a lot of those clips, and like TikTok, honestly, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, just watching these people just, like, flip out and, like, get so upset over, like, a 45-second clip, and it's like, dude, what is wrong? You see them like complete strangers going at it in the comments. It's like a mini Reddit forum. It's just like, I turn the notifications off on my TikTok because it would just bother me constantly. But like when I have those clips, I find myself like just checking TikTok and just seeing like, ooh, oh my gosh, this is hilarious. And you know, if it's funny enough, I share. And like, yeah, it's like I said, it's fuel. You know,
it definitely is. No, I definitely feel that aspect. Like people take the time out of their day to express like whatever negativity over a 45-second clip off of Instagram and TikTok. And that's like why my notifications are off for TikTok and Insta, because some things, you know, I'll comment under, or certain things I'll post, and certain individuals will comment on it. And I'm looking through these things. I'm just like, man, y'all feel like that? Y'all really do? And I'm just like, yo, I'm not really gonna respond. I only respond where it gets to a point of like disrespectful stuff. That's where I'm just like, okay, now I need to express myself in a, you know, respectful manner, let them know like, hey, this is not okay. But other than that, like when I see people take time out of their day, I just know like, yo, you're really unhappy in life. Like you're really sad about something. Like your wife probably yelled at you this morning, or you probably like, I don't know, you probably lost some money or something, and you really had to just throw some negativity on a 45-second clip that really was probably like something positive, but you know, you want to start some controversy or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and it is like really hard to combat that, like in the social media presence, and be mindful and be like, hey, how does this really affect me? Like it really takes like, you know, finding things to like put yourself aside, like mentally, even if it's not the best way. I think it's, you know, like even if you're like using a substance or like, you know, gaming too much, like I would argue that might not necessarily, but might still be better than like the insanity of social media. And like, because that sends dopamine rushes to your brain too, and that's like a whole like psychological, like ruins relationships over like, you know, whatever 200 characters, like somebody's friendship can be ended, you know. It's insane.
It's the whole thing, like a impulse reaction. Every like even myself, I have a thing of being very impulsive. Like I'll see something and not even think it through until I have commented or said something. I'm just like, oh, okay, hold up, I just, you know, did something or said something out of anger, or something I shouldn't have said, all because I was impulsive. I didn't think that through. And I think a lot of us deal with things like that. We don't really stop to think of how it's going to affect us or the other people, or just as a whole generalization. And it's like pretty apparent now, this day, with everything else going on. Like I feel like with COVID, everything that happened 2 years ago, that's now catching up to us. And like everybody's trying to get back to a normal life. And what I'm seeing is like people's like impulsive, they just on edge, on the go. Like it's a crazy time we live in now.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, like you said, impulsive. And you know, that's kind of like, you see that like in journalism. You see that, or like even like on the Snapchat. I was watching like a Snapchat story of like the Amber Heard shit, which I don't even know why I fucking find myself wasting time. I think it's because she's hot. I think that's the reason that Amber Heard.
Oh, that Johnny Depp.
She's a crazy cunt, but she's.
It's a crazy time we live in. Yeah, because I'm hearing what's being said, and I'm like, man, I hope what I'm hearing is like not really what's going on, of a woman who beat up on a man and then used that against him in public eye and ruined his life. You know, I really hope that is not really what's going on, because that is now the thing happening in 2022.
Yeah, believe all women.
I will definitely I will definitely believe anything toward anything women wise that is factual and actually happened. Like,
yeah, legitimate.
I'm all for that. But when it gets to a point of like you're trying to tarnish somebody intentionally when they didn't really do it, that's when it's just, you know, a fine line drawn, because you're ruining somebody's life.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you watch like footage from her private trial, and the current trial, like the same material and completely different reaction. You know, it's so painstakingly obvious. And I think it really attributes to how narcissistic this woman is. To like still be going at this point with like, because she can't like not be seeing the shit on TikTok. Didn't they take a week I think they took a week. I read that today. They took like a week in the middle to trial off.
Yes.
It's like there's no fucking way that she didn't like catch, like at least see like a fraction of all the bullshit. Not the bullshit, but like the shit that she's getting for everything on TikTok, like, you know, the internet.
I really hope she's aware of like everything that's going on, because like I'll go on social media and I'd see every so often of little clips, especially like the whole nose and tissue situation.
The coke.
Like, did you really just snort some shit in court, thinking that like the whole world, like, I see you doing that shit?
The bitch took the tissue, paused for a shoot, and then snorted cocaine out of it.
I'm like, you are bold.
Did you see the one with the water bottle?
No, what happened with that one?
There was one where she was like drinking a water bottle, and then like one of the officers walks by and she just like puts it in her pocket. There's speculation that it's alcohol, and she had like 2 different water bottles. It also shows like how out of touch the justice system is for like all these things are going on.
And here I want to think that's not really what's going on, but it's really what's going on.
Yeah, well, at the very least, it should be talked about, right? They should be like going over it. They should be like, "Hey, leaking footage. It looks like the defendant might be using substances in the courtroom." Like,
I would have tested her ass right there and there. Like, I would have ran footage and been like, "Yo, so what's this right here that you're doing, or what's this I'm finding in your system?" Because like it's pretty apparent when it's posted all over the world, and the whole, like, everybody can see it.
Yeah,
and there's nothing about, you know, any like aftermath, anything being done about it legal wise, if that's what's really what's going on.
And let me say, as a libertarian, I don't even care if she was doing that, but it's a double standard to like have this whole case where she's like trying to throw Johnny Depp under the bus for doing all these drugs, and like she's just as much of a drug user as he is. I mean, I think they're both, I mean, especially if they were married and in a relationship for that long, like you have to be using the same. If he's snorting coke, he's fucking snorting coke with him, you know.
I'm a firm believer in that. Like, if you're hanging around anybody doing some coke, doing some Xans or whatever, you are definitely doing that shit with them. If you're hanging around them routinely, like whatever the case is, you're definitely doing that. And you could try and argue about it, but I feel like that's just like facts. Like you are who you hang around with. If they hang around doing whatever, you're gonna do that with them. You know, because you want to hang around with them, you want to relate or whatever.
Yeah, man. There was when I was still going through my separation and divorce, I was talking with this stripper, and she was a huge cokehead, like to the point where like her nostril like was like one hole, like it fucked up her nose, and like it was a huge turn off for me. I was like, I don't want to be involved with someone who uses cocaine regularly like that. And like, I'm not dissing cocaine. Like I have friends that use cocaine regularly, and like that's fine. I have no problem with it. They do it around me. I don't give a shit. But like in a relationship is a different dynamic.
Most definitely. Personally, for me, I've never done coke. It's definitely been around me, been offered to me, and like for me, I haven't felt the need to, you know, do that shit. But I don't knock anybody, you know, who chooses that of their choice. You know, I'm not like, you know, oh, you about to go to hell. Like they, you know, they might do it like at a night function when they're partying, but it's not like they wake up every single day like they're fiending for it. You know, that type of thing. So everybody got their choice of preference, and mine happens to be weed and alcohol.
Exactly. Well, and that's kind of what it is for me too. Like I'm not like, well, I will say like I do worry about like the, you know, the illegal status and like all the people have died from. I feel like of drugs, that's one of the easiest to get, you know, some bad shit.
That's what makes me shy away from everything else. The after, you know, not the after effects, but the consequences from doing them, you know, because you never know if you do a whole amount of something if you're gonna wake up the next morning.
Yeah, it could be fentanyl, like, you know, literally it could be like half fentanyl, you die. Like that happened to Mac, that happens to so many fucking people. Exactly,
prime example. That's why I've kind of like, I can't do that to myself.
No. I don't trust it. Like the fact is, like I don't trust anyone enough to like risk that level. Like if you know, people are just sparking up joints and then like, oh, like, you know, peeling over and dying, I'd be like, God damn, like maybe I should.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't be doing this.
Let's just stick to the CBD, you know, get it from the store.
I'm right there with you. Like, I can't be like, okay, I'm gonna jeopardize my body for this shit, and maybe not wake up tomorrow. Like, what? Nah,
exactly. Well, and you know, like I take Adderall, like prescribed, so that's kind of like my speed, you know, quote unquote speed fix, caffeine, and you know, I was prescribed Focalin. which is like the legal form of cocaine essentially, for like my ADD or whatever, and I hated it. Right. Terrible in my stomach, like couldn't eat, like, you know, coming out of both ends, whatever, like just not good. So yeah, I you know, like I said, do your cocaine. I love that you're doing your cocaine. I love Pusha T's new album. It was fucking awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Listening to that album kind of made me want to try cocaine, but not for me.
Hell no. It is a dope album. Like Pusha T. Shout out to him. Like that. It is a dope album sonically, lyrically.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. He's finally getting his just dues. I feel like it was #1 for like 3 weeks. Or for like a week or something like that, but
it was significant.
Yeah,
and like that, he's one, like, you know, talking about Kendrick Lamar earlier. Like, he is one of those artists that like takes time.
Yeah,
on his projects. That's important.
All he has to do is just drop once in a blue moon, and he impacts culture. Kendrick Lamar is one of them. I feel like Pusha T is one of them. I feel like Drake also is one of them. It's a handful.
You think Drake kind of puts out a lot of shit though, pretty regularly? Yeah,
he used to, you know, take a little bit of a break.
Yeah, you know, that's true in his earlier days.
But now it's one of those, like, anytime he drops, it just goes up. Just numbers. Impacts culture. Yeah,
I feel like he formed his goons. You know what I mean? Like he has the people who. You know, just automatically, it's like the people for Kanye, you know, like there's just automatically going to be people, Ken Lamar, anyone. There's just, and it's just about like whose population is bigger. That's kind of what it seems to be.
Oh yeah,
it's interesting.
Oh yeah, that's pretty transparent in the music industry. Like who's that guy with, you know, who's top dog? You know?
Yeah. Speaking of talk dog entertainment, what do you think about Ken? Like, that new Kenny album? Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, you familiar?
Nah.
Oh, dude, that's coming out in like 2-3 days. Friday.
Oh, Kendrick's new
album. Yeah, Kendrick Lamar's new album. Yeah.
Yes. I heard about. I saw the little, you know, little letter he posted on his Instagram about, you know, the album coming. And then I saw the video he dropped for the I forgot the name of the song.
Heart Part 5.
Yeah, Yeah, that was.
That's wild, man.
Wild and inspirational, and one of those, like, he took his time with it, and it seems like it's kind of like recent in a sense, because like the Will Smith thing just happened, and that was just tied into that. So I feel like it was, you know, kind of recent, but the way he's crafting it all together, he dropped it on Sunday, and I was just like, wow. Like, it was one of those, like, you watch it for a moment, you watch it again, and you're just like, wow, like, this is something that like, I don't feel like that's art right there.
Exactly.
That is art.
That's the genius of Kendrick Lamar. Like, he is one of those few rappers who, like, you put something out, and the first time you hear it, you're like, this guy, like, it's good, but like, it's kind of, and you listen to it like 5-10 more times, you're like, holy fucking shit, this is so good.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. And if you like, the other day I like put on the video and put the lyrics up and just like followed along and like looking at like the people he was, and was like, oh, I see where this matches up. God, it's great, man.
He's a mastermind with what he does. Like, even like the music, the beats, the rhythm, like, it's sonically, it all forms together. And if that's the sound he's got, like, if you're gonna drop that for like that, if you're dropping that, this is sonically how your album's gonna sound. Like, it's gonna be, it's like, it has a retro feel to it, a sonic retro feel. And I'm like, man, you're going with a whole new creative sound that, like, we've never heard him do. And I feel like it's about to make a stamp on hip hop, and he's gonna impact culture again.
Yeah,
and he's about to go on a run again
every time.
And then after that, poof, gone. I'm ghost. Until something happens in the world that's impacting enough for him to be like, all right, I got some shit to say, you know.
Fuck yeah. He yeah, and that's the thing about him. Like, he is truly his own voice. You know, in the day and age where, like, a lot of, like, you know, the black media seems to be, like, motivated by corporations, like, seeing people like Kendrick Lamar, like, actually saying what he wants to say. Because, like, I think this album, he's going to piss off a lot. I think he's going to make a lot of people happy, but he's also going to make a lot of people pissed off. It's really interesting, his album To Pimp a Butterfly, which I think is one of the greatest albums of all time.
Right.
you know, that what was it, the song All Right was championed by Black Lives Matter. But it's kind of interesting because like towards the end of the album he like almost kind of contradicts himself,
right,
and, like talking about certain aspects of Black culture, and it's really kind of it's interesting, the group of people who like will take on that face value without actually listening to like the entirety of what he does. You know, he's a fucking genius. I like, in my opinion, the GOAT.
Most definitely. That was also pretty apparent, like at the Super Bowl performance. Like, like it was.
He didn't have like any. Like he got censored, and like he had like no showtime.
He said certain stuff got cut out, and it was just one of those things. Like he had to do certain stuff to please corporate America, even though his stance is pretty apparent. Like he was able to say what he wanted to say within limits, not pissing off the higher ups, but. With that type of affiliation and things like that, I feel like, with this album, he's about to be very, like, transparent and just one of those things, like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to say exactly what I want to say, because what, is going on in the world is apparently affecting him. So he has to address it in his own way,
Yeah. That Super Bowl thing, it was good and it was bad at the same time, because like I think Kendrick Lamar got screwed. I think he was literally just like a bone. He was like, here's a bone for the younger audience so we can seem, because so we don't seem what we really were, which was outdated, because they use all these guys that are from were hits 20, 30 years ago, and like that's fine. I'm not like, Eminem's great, Dre's great, I'm not shitting on that, but there's so many fucking people right now, like Denzel Curry, Joey Badass, Flatbush, like there's like so much good hip hop and that's come out of this last decade that has an entire culture of its own, and they're like almost intentionally stepping on that to like give this like, okay, here's this group of people that we know is going to appeal to the masses, and we can pay them however much money, like, and like they did the whole like kneeling thing. I don't even care about that, but like the political messaging was also very clear,
right? Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
They're very like strategic in how corporate America picks their artists. Like it was
exactly,
I think Jay-Z had a part in that, and he has to be strategic himself of who he chooses, and it was pretty apparent when that Super Bowl performance happened. Directly after Kendrick's part, all I had to do was go on Twitter and see, literally America talking about how certain stuff he would say were censored, and that was a clear message that like, you could perform, but here's other terms and conditions. If you violate those terms and conditions, here's what's going to happen. One of them type of things. And that was apparent with every single artist. I think Eminem was the only one who took a kneel. But I feel like with every other artist, it was pretty apparent, like, this is what we're able to do for you. That type of thing. And, yeah.
Appeal to the masses. Which, I mean, that happens. But it's like I said, I think it was a really... and that's another thing, too, like, artists this day and age are actually speaking, like, that's what I love about hip-hop in this last decade and what's coming. It's like we're really in that like third, fourth generation where like, because 20, 30 years ago when they were rapping, it was all about like weed and drugs and sex, and that's awesome. But you know what, now they're talking about real fucking shit, like the people who are actually prevalent in the current hip-hop time and age, like, it's the real motherfuckers who like they're talking about things that nobody else is talking about, that we need to hear, and they're using it like with clever wordplay, and there's like a whole subculture of it, and like I mean the Super Bowl is just outdated in that respect.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I think now people want to know like what's really going on like outside of their doors. Like I feel like during that time outside, like what was outside in hip hop back when they were rapping about drugs, sex, and everything else, that's what they encountered every single day. Now in this time, people are rapping about racism, discrimination, things that are happening on a daily basis, which I feel is getting worse. So now that's pretty, apparent in music now, and that's like a clear message of what's going on. So, as if it continues to get worse, that's exactly what you'll hear in today's music of the bullshit that is going on. Yeah.
And that is exactly why I'm so excited for this fucking double LP, by the way, from Kendrick. Like,
oh yeah. I saw him like, what was it? Like 2 CD masters, and I was like, this motherfucker. I'm like, he knows we missed him. He's like, it has to be one of those albums. Like, you might need, like, you gotta take a day off to listen to that shit. Like, I know when Chris Brown drops his album in June, I'm taking the whole Friday off and maybe Saturday too to celebrate that shit. Like, it's one of those, like, a top tier artist, you gotta listen to it front to back, and then the second time dissect every single thing and try and understand if you're really, you know, a fan of that artist, you know, like Kendrick or whoever.
Yeah, that you know, when you look at something like that, like the double, it's like I haven't even listened to it. Well worth the wait.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well worth the 5 years.
Oh yeah, because you know what you're gonna get. You know it's gonna be top tier quality, and it's gonna be one of those things that when he drops, it's gonna be talked about for a while because it's gonna be an impact to culture, and it's not no bullshit or funny shit. Like, it's quality sound.
Fuck yeah, exactly, man. Let me switch topics here. Let me ask you, what do you think about the whole Elon Musk buying Twitter? You have any opinion on that?
I want to see the impact he's gonna have with that. Like, I don't know, like, I heard about the buyout price and everything else, and I'm kind of intrigued. Like, what are you gonna do with Twitter as a brand? Like, what what are you gonna do to, like, you know, transform the company? Because I'm pretty sure he's very tapped into like the metaverse and things of that nature. And I'm like, what are you gonna do with Twitter of that? Because Facebook's already tapped in. They already got their whole thing going, so it's going to be a direct competition. So I feel like, I hope it translates and it makes sense, and I'm like eager to see what he's going to do with it, because I use my Twitter every now and then, but not often as I should. But it's out there. But I kind of have like a mixed feeling about it, because I don't know what he's going to do with it. I don't know the plans.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair criticism, right? Is like, anytime there's like a large power move with money, like. You know, even if it's like in a light that's positive, you gotta be like, okay, like what's you gotta look at it analytically, you know. Like personally, I'm a fan of Elon Musk. Like, yeah, there's plenty of controversies as anyone, but I think overall he's trying to do the right thing.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I there's definitely plenty of reason to be, you know, critical and you know, cautious, like, for sure.
Like, it's probably, you know, some like hidden things they can't really talk about. Like what's the real point? Like, is it for, you know, stock reasons, or you know, just like hidden stuff? Because when you see a buyout price like that, you want to know, like, what's the whole purpose of this? So
this is kind of, you know, not mainstream reporting, the kind of silent reporting, but like from what I've heard through my channels is, like, apparently the reason why this all happened is because, you know, initially he had he bought like 9-10%.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And then he was going to be on the board, and then they decided they didn't want him on the board. And then the speculation is, because I think he bought it like 5 days before their quarterly annual reportings were about to come out. And the theory is that he called their bluff on that this company really isn't worth what you're saying it is. You see, like, in the next 24, 48 hours after he bought Twitter, all these conservative accounts like got hundreds of thousands of followers, and all these left-leaning accounts like just docked him followers like overnight. It's actually kind of funny, like, a lot of these various reportings like didn't actually see like the full scale of that, but like other ones were like, hey, you know, this isn't like a pro for conservatives, this is fraud. Wow. So yeah, Elon, so the theory is that he called their bluff, and now he, you know, bought the company, and he's, you know, cleaning house.
That's probably it. That seems pretty spot on. Like, that's some shit you hear about or see in a movie of, like, you know, some insider shit, like some Wall Street shit. Like, I got an insider tip on some stock. Oh, let me buy out. And the next day you hear about, oh, this and this and this and this, and it's some headline like national news shit, and you got the person who bought out sitting there like, he, I found out about this. So it seems pretty like spot on that some shit actually went down like that.
Yeah, watching people melt down over it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, like, it was all over, and I was like, what am I missing? Like, it's Elon Musk, like the Tesla dude, buying Twitter.
Yeah,
it's not gonna affect me. Like,
yeah, right. That's like, I don't use Twitter, so like, I think it's good in a sense of like, it's you know, because there's a lot of like news related type of things that like that relies on. I think it's good in that sense.
Right.
But yeah, it does also speak to a larger message, which is like, hey, maybe not like centralize everything. Maybe we should spread out.
Right. No, for sure. For sure. It makes sense.
Yeah. It's funny. There was I just got done with my second to last year of video production. Okay. And I had one of my teachers was he lived on the West Coast, and he was a overseas professor, and he there are people who are left leaning, and then there are people who are insane.
Right.
And this man is insane. Yeah. And like to the point where like there's some people like they literally can't help themselves. Like you'll be talking about something completely unrelated, and they'll be like, and be like, all right, dude, like I do not care what you think about Trump. All right. That has nothing to do with
I know a couple people like that. I know a couple people like that. I'm just like, what? Like, you think I need to like hear that or embrace that shit? Like,
yeah.
Like,
but it is truly like, I don't have to, during those 4 months I had him, I didn't need to subscribe to CNN Plus to figure out what was, what the idiotic take on everything was. I could just tune into his class.
Right.
But it was funny, like the last week, I think that was when Elon Musk, the whole thing of Twitter is going down. And then like some kid just saw random, he's like, hey guys, just letting you know. Like, I don't even, like, why the fuck are you even talking, bro? Like, hey guys, just letting you know, Elon Musk just bought Twitter. He's like, oh, mother. He's like going off, and I'm just like, bro, you're I have to I need to sit through this to graduate.
Right. Do
you realize that? This is part of my curriculum. What I'm paying for to get my degree is sitting through your ass. And it's really kind of funny because all these other like LA type of people that he would like bring on were the same way. Like they literally could not they cannot contain themselves. The empire, like, okay, why is that relevant? I do not give a shit, bro.
They think that LA culture relates. Like it's
yeah. And honestly, if you have that opinion, that's fine.
Right.
Not in my class.
Keep it to yourself.
First, especially keep it to yourself. But like, yeah, I mean, I didn't even like disagree with all of his points, but like, it just made me uncomfortable. And then like, there would be people like in class that he would pick on who like were obviously just like not of that way. Like he was like shitting on like religion to like, this super religious chick, and everybody was just like I'm an atheist, and I was even like, Jesus Christ, dude,
you
like,
got a bully.
Yeah, for real,
you got a straight up bully.
Yeah, like man should not be a teacher, honestly, but yeah, I digress. People are fucking nuts.
Yeah, I can't.
So that's why I like what Elon Musk is. He's like, it's like what we do in the podcast with making people pay. Like we're weeding out the people who
weeding out the weak.
Weeding out the weak. Yeah, exactly.
In a sense. Yeah.
Weeding out the weak, man.
Yeah.
Fuck. Shit. What do you think about what do you think about like Joe Biden? Do you think he's gonna last? How much more time do you think he has?
I haven't seen him do shit. I haven't seen him like I
think he's just a puppet mache.
Yeah, I feel like he's like a puppet because I don't really know what's going on with America at all. All I see is anytime I go outside my house, prices up on gas, prices down a little bit, and it's just like it's a whole lot of shit going on. There's the Russia situation and the Ukraine. There's the whole student debt situation. So I haven't seen anything concrete. What is this, year 1 or year 2?
Let's see. Fuck, only about a year and a half.
Okay, coming up on 2 years.
Yeah,
like I haven't seen really any true change, and soon by year 3 you're gonna hear elections going out again, and I like this time I want to know if there's gonna be like a candidate that is gonna impact change right now, because Joe, I don't know what the hell he's doing. He doesn't.
Yeah, it's really a mess. It's like it's Joe, and then like Kamala's fucking horrible too.
Right.
Like, and that's the thing. Like, there have been presidents that have been bad, but at least they have like a strong backup. Not that like it's hard to imagine that there would be somebody worse than the corpse that is running our country right now. But there is. It's his vice president. Like, she's so bad.
I thought maybe in some way Obama would have like been involved in like some shit, because I feel like Trump ain't do shit. I feel like the last good president we had was Obama in a sense, and I haven't really seen anything better than that, because Obama was catering to the middle class. That's us, the working people. And right now I don't see Joe Biden doing anything like that. So it's just sad to see, because it's nothing. Anytime you look at the news, you go outside your house, it's nothing but like negativity. It's nothing like, hey, there's an increase on employment. Employment jumped like 20%. You don't see that. You see stuff about a Great Depression maybe happening again. Gas prices on the rise, like things of that. And it's not happy times.
Yeah, it does seem to be more like constant headlines. Well, it's interesting, like, you know, recently with like the Roe v. Wade stuff, you know, that leaked.
Right. Yeah. They knew what they were doing with that bullshit.
Yeah.
They knew.
Yeah, they knew exactly what was going on. Well, and it's interesting. Pfizer, the speculated reason that you know, that information quote unquote leaked is Pfizer's data. I just had like a data dump where they reported like the vaccines are only like a 12% efficacy. It was killing infants, like all this like, you know, very scandalous shit. So it's almost kind of interesting. Instead of like trying to like fudge it, they're kind of at the point where they're just like, okay, we're just gonna drop the bomb. We're gonna drop the thing that gets both. Yeah, the thing that we know for sure gets both Republicans and Democrats riled up. Abortion.
Right. Yep.
Like. It's really interesting. That is like really the universal issue that like almost every person is like, because it's such like a core to life, I think, you know, like the issue of birth, like, or not the issue of birth, the things surrounding birth, like, you know, everyone has, you know, whether, even if they don't have kids or not, like they have some kind of opinion and moral sense in that, because it's just so basic to human nature.
Yeah, the whole abortion thing is a touchy subject, and I see it all over my social medias. I see people sharing their opinions. I see
it's annoying. It's really annoying.
I see a whole lot of bullshit. I see a whole lot of. You really see true colors within like men and how they express this whole situation. And like for me, the way I feel about abortion is like it's not my place to speak on like how a woman handles her body, because I'm not in her place. I'm not dealing with how she's feeling. I'm not dealing with her emotions. Like, and on top of that, you don't really know the situation of why she might want to get an abortion. You don't know if it's unfortunately rape. You don't know if it's like you don't want to deal with the receiving end of the person, like the baby daddy or whatever. You don't know what that's like. You don't know the situation or nothing. So it's not my place to tell a woman like what she can and can't do. And like these abortion laws and abortion stuff is, you're literally telling a woman that, you know, whatever is just like, again, a crazy time we live in. Like, I never thought I would see some shit like this happen, but it's just unfortunate, because like now it's affecting like women as a whole, and they now too are expressing their opinions. Like, I wonder how a woman lawmaker feels right now about this situation.
Yeah, how Kim Reynolds feels.
Yeah, like how does she? How are you dealing with that?
She's drinking. That's how she's dealing with it.
Yeah, those OWIs that she has. Yeah,
she's kicking them back. She's kicking out some vodka and rocks. That's how she's dealing with it.
Like, how's she gonna sit there with them OWIs and not like have some lenient, you know?
Yeah, it is interesting though. Like, it seemed I tend to kind of mostly like agree with you. Like, I think it is a pro-choice situation. Like, I don't think anyone should be able to authoritarianly say like you cannot do this. But like it is interesting, like seeing the divide. Like, I was listening to a podcast. Apparently, most women are pro-life.
Oh yeah,
just kind of like, it's interesting thought, like how it's like, so it's a women's issue, yet like statistically all these. I mean, I think that's attributed to religion more than likely, most likely. But like, it is a very interesting, like, and you see like Republicans like saying like, it's like, more libertarian minded like type of Republicans saying like, hey, I might disagree with this on a moral standpoint, but I still think that they have the right.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting to hear both sides. It's interesting to see reactions from both men and women. Yeah. I feel like, in some extreme situations, some might feel abortion, but like you said, the majority of women are pro-life, which is like, to me, it makes sense. Like, you wouldn't want to harm, a growing baby unless in like the most extreme situations, if that's really the case that you'd want to do, But yeah. I mean, I agree. I think. I think there are some very clear times where an abortion is not only should be allowed, but maybe even suggested. Like, especially if like the baby is like either terminally ill or like it's gonna kill the mother. Like, if the baby's going to kill the mother, I'm gonna tell her like, get that abortion. Like, do not, like, that honestly
and maybe this is just me being atheist, but like that kind of makes me sad, like seeing people when they're like extremely religious and they're like, no, I have to die with my baby. And it's like, you really don't, though. You know,
right? You really don't.
You can live the rest of your life,
right?
And like just maybe try again or adopt
there you
or
go.
something.
Try again.
You know, you don't literally need to like unnecessarily sacrifice yourself. And like that, I think that is like a fair criticism of like the Republican Party, like trying to give like the 6 week shit. Like they are really like going through this like dark ages type of mentality when the technology just isn't the same.
It's not.
Like at all. Like it was like basically back then it was a fine line between like you're getting a co-hanger abortion or you're having the baby, and that's not even remotely the case anymore. Like there's different sets for morality and different lines, different things in society. Like both sides of this issue need to like really reanalyze everything and also like try to come to a middle ground. That's another thing, because it's such like a core thing. Like people are not willing to budge on it. It's like, can you just like find a number that like this one side's like, okay, we can deal with this, I don't know. That's just me.
It's a lot of politics.
McAllister, how's everybody?
You gotta express your mind, but I feel like it's a lot of politics involved.
Yeah,
it's a whole lot of money involved. It's some big power players involved, and a lot of, and I feel like a lot of the ways they think is just like individual thing or what works best for companies or their pockets. They don't think about like the bigger picture of how it's affecting America or people as a whole. They just, all right, cool, we're gonna do this.
Yeah, it kind of is. I don't really know how I feel about it yet. I don't know if we're going to a hopeful place or a bad place, because like you've seen over the last like 2-3 years how quickly and obviously the public's eye shifts. Like COVID was the issue for a while, and then like kind of like in like a blink of an eye, like when they dropped the mask mandates, it was immediately Ukraine, and that died out because like eventually we just got sick of the footage. Nothing was really happening. It was a stand. It was scary for like 2 weeks, and everybody's like, okay, like whatever. It's just the same thing it's always been. And now it's abortion. And just like if you see it like from a like kind of what we're talking like an outwardly perspective or like a removed position, you just see like everyone it just seems like clearly like, oh, this and then this and then this and then this, like that's like their train of thought and their discussion and their posts. And I don't know, I don't know if less people are on that train or if more people are.
I think a lot of people are more on that train because like it's back-to-back stuff literally. And I don't know if it's like the media putting like fear tactics and stuff, but you'll, and the thing about it is you'll remember in time sequences. You'll notice like, okay, first it was this, now it's this, now it's this. Like it's something always relatable, that you remember, like a season shift. Now it's a season shift.
Season shift, yeah. That's
it's
a good way to
spring into almost summer. I guarantee there's gonna be some shit that happens between now and into summer. Then in summer into fall is gonna be some shit. So it's like always something you don't. And the thing about it is you never hear about something positive happening in the news. It's always COVID, Russia, Ukraine, Will Smith slapped somebody.
Will Smith.
Like it's just like, damn. Can we have like something good in the news that you want to hear about? But it's always a time sequence thing with news and dramatic events. Yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie Network?
Nah.
It's this old movie from like 1974. I actually just watched it yesterday for the first time. And it's like a very like satirical analysis on like the news networks and companies and how they operate and how they just completely like, they have this guy that goes on the air and he's like going through this like alcoholic, like his wife divorced him, depressive phase, and he like goes on air and he says he's gonna kill himself next week, and then they try to fire him and all that, but the reviews actually end up like skyrocketing and their channel ends up like going up and they end up making money. So they like hire this guy back and he's just like unchained, essentially, like telling people like the world's gone mad, and like it's such a telling showcase of like government and corporations and like the powerful elite, and like because they eventually like end up even like skewing that guy, the guy who's like the mad prophet in their direction, you know. Like it really is about money. It really is about who's watching. They do not care about the message. They do not have a humanitarian perspective. When they're in their meetings and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with their company, they're not sitting there like, how does this help people?
No.
Are people feeling good when they like? No, they're not thinking that at all. They're thinking, and it's sad, but that's almost just kind of like the beast of capitalism. You know?
Oh, yeah.
There was I was listening to a podcast where a guy, he like had to turn down some investment offer because this guy was like trying to do like a positive news website or something, and it tanked because like sadly enough, like people are just not intrigued by other positive stories.
They like the controversy and the bad news.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like when I was in like high school, I think I've seen this pyramid like breakdown like a couple times after that, like of the big conglomerate companies like Viacom and CBS and ABC, those, and then the pyramid breakdown of what they're all branched to and who they own and all the TV channels, and then it breaks down to the newspapers and everything that's owned by them by one big media giant.
It's like a handful of people.
Yeah, it gets you to a broad spectrum. Like, damn, this one big company controls all these other thousand, BET, VH1, MTV. They all control the message that's being sent. So it just gets to like, oh, it's a monopoly out here. So, these conglomerates, and then it gets you to understand, like, this is the reason why there's like this type of news that's negative and type of bullshit. Because you'll go to CNN. Switch it up, go to Fox. Two completely different things. Like, what the hell is this conservative shit? It makes me like, I get mad watching Fox. I just switch that shit off. Like,
we had a guest on here, DK. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Nah.
He's from Dwight. He's very talented. You should look him up.
Oh, yeah, most def.
But he was telling about how his dad will like watch both CNN and Fox. Like he'll switch on his TV back and forth between them, and he'll think he's like open worldly and like has this like great perspective. It's like, you're still on cable, motherfucker.
Right. You're still on that cable.
There's an entire world of news that like you're not even aware of. That's literally like you're in a cage and someone gives you a TV with 2 channels and you're that's like your I get everything, you know.
Those 2 don't count. Fox and CNN don't count. Neither does MSNBC. None of them. Nah, there's other news out there.
None of it. And it's kind of a sad thing, but like when I encounter people and they're like, yeah, I didn't take that. Like my perceived, like what I think their intellect is, like drops by 20 points.
Right. Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. That makes me a judgmental asshole. I know, but like that's just how my brain process is. Like, oh, okay, you watch Fox, MSNBC, CNN, even KCC, even the people who are like local news, like KCCI.
Yeah, KCCI, KWL, like they all owned.
Have you ever seen the clip where they are like unanimously saying the same?
Yeah, the same thing. Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like they, like just in today, this, and then it gets to another thing, and then it just blows out to all these news corporations reporting the same shit. Like it's all, I'm a firm believer in like controlled media. Like they control certain shit. Like they'll put out some fear tactic shit just to scare you. You ever notice, like, this is no disrespect to 9/11, but you always notice how it gets close to 9/11 or certain like eventful dates that you hear some shit about, oh, security risk at this airport following a day or two are passing, you don't hear nothing about it again. Like it's a whole like you want to instill a message in people. You want to have people on the edge. Yeah. Like I don't. Like
it's not really that it happened. It's just that it happened that day.
Right.
Yeah, the messaging, man.
Yeah,
it's fucking it's apparent, and it's a sad state of affairs that like you kind of have like a more like negative, like people are just gonna keep going on it. Like I battle with that, but like at the end of the day I almost kind of like nihilistically agree, like perhaps we are on like a train of I don't know, kind of crappy things to come, but we make content, we make music, and that's the positive. That's how people
you gotta I guess there's a balance. You're gonna have that shit and then like the the positive.
Hey, here's the message: if you want to get out of that shit, do some of that. Do your own thing. Do your music. Or
There you
like
go.
focus on your job. Like that's what really people should be focusing on. Not trying to buy into the same system and changing it maybe, but like maybe creating your own system and being like, hey, social media, like like what we talked about, like turn off the notifications.
There you go.
Like the guy that was on the podcast like a week ago, like he doesn't even have social media. He runs like a top like not top tier, but like for Iowa stats, like very popular YouTube gaming channel. Like he just has no social media. Like he just operates under the guise of gaming off the grid. And like yeah, I mean, I think people are eventually stepping away from it. I do think like the next one of the next generations, there's gonna be a group of people who are they're done with it. They're gonna like throw away the tech, they're gonna throw away the porn, they're gonna throw away the drugs, and they're literally just gonna be like their own fucking thing.
Yeah,
it's gonna be really interesting.
Social media does like get tricky when you don't use it for what it's intended for. Yeah, it gets tricky. Like I sometimes hate Facebook and Instagram because it's a lot to deal with. Like you have messages coming in that you don't want to deal with. Like you might have people messaging you that you haven't talked to in years, and they're messaging you about, oh, hey, I see what you're doing, blah blah, but you feel it's not genuine. Then you're just like, yo, I don't like dealing with this shit. But like there are positives. Like I feel like if you use, like I said, use it for what it's intended for, cool. But if it's just like for free usage and shit for whatever, like I don't think if I wasn't doing music, I wouldn't be like, I don't think I'd have social media like the way I do, because it's just at times it's too much. And like my notifications on my TikTok, my Instagram, I turned off. Like it's one of those things. Like I don't want to go to bed at night and hear my phone, not even hear my phone, just see my phone light up. And it's just like, yo, I don't care. I'll go into the app and look at my Facebook, my Instagram, my TikTok, but that's about it.
That's almost like the double-edged sword in a way of like being a content creator. Is like, yes, you're putting yourself in that environment and promoting yourself in that environment, but with that you like have a realization that I don't need to be involved in this as much as I am trying to be,
If I could,
I would be.
If I could, I would have two phones. I would have two, just like one for my social media, one just for like family, important people, that need my contact like that. Because like I'd rather have a phone for just my social medias, because that I could just leave the notifications on all day on that phone, and I can just look at them whenever I want, whenever I feel the need to look at that phone. The other phone, just for family, close friends, like the important stuff that matters.
Yeah, Joe Rogan does that. He has 3 different phones. It's like,
who does that?
Joe Rogan.
Oh man, he got that type of money. I need that type. Like two phones, but 3. Hey! I'll say this: anybody who got 3 phones, you're moving kind of suspect. Because two is acceptable. 1 for social media, 1 for your family. 3 is like you got some side business. You got some side funny. You might have some girls or something. I don't trust that. 3 phones for what?
I would not be surprised if Joe Rogan had a couple chicas on the side.
Isn't that like the Spotify dude?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he got him. He got the money. He got him. Yeah.
He's like a quote unquote like conservative, like Christian family man.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know if I would say that like Christian, but like he's definitely like more of a family man. Like
I don't
type of guy.
I don't tap into his podcast after he said that racist shit. I was like, man, fuck you. Yeah, I turned off my Spotify. Yeah. I went to Apple Music after that. I was like, nah, we not doing that. Nah.
Yeah, I feel that. Do you think there can be an argument to be made for like him, like, I'm not saying that's okay, but like maybe him using it in context wasn't as bad as like calling someone that or screaming it? Because I think the thing with that clip is like every instance except for what was the joke about like the Africans in the theater, like that was bad, but like I think every instance of that word, it was like in context, like he was like well, like he said that word. I think like they just chopped it up.
I feel like in that context, if he was mentioning the quote from somebody else.
Yeah.
Even in that instance, I still wouldn't do it.
You should censor it.
Yeah. You should like blank that out, because like you shouldn't, even in a quote, you shouldn't feel that comfortable to say it. So you're telling me in a quote you said it, but when you listen to music or when you're talking, you don't say it? No, you probably do. So I feel like generally, like it's a no. And Spotify's stance on it was, of course, political and corporate. It's like one of those things like, you're making us all this money and we have invested all this money into you, so therefore we're not going to terminate you. Like they released a pretty bold statement about whatever, was reported for him. And I'm just like, oh, normal shit about, a person, saying racial things, and they took the political, corporate, financial route, to protect their company and whatever, stuff they have going on. So,
yeah. I guess and this is obviously me talking, but like my opinion is that like I think the context matters. Like I don't think it's good what he said. Like I don't think just using that freely is even in context is necessarily a good thing.
Right.
But like I would argue that I don't think just because someone uses that word it necessarily makes them racist.
Right. Okay.
Like,
true.
Like it is important to have the context around it. Like I do think that woman who edited that video like did a really bad job just displaying that. I think it would have been more honest to take the 5 seconds around each clip. Be like, okay, was he actually? And that's the thing. Like, for all I know, there could be an instance where he was being really racist, but like, we have no way of knowing that because she just cut and
chopped it down,
chopped it up, and like in the version that like you could watch, you can't even hear the word. It's just a beep the whole time, so you literally can't even hear what they're saying. I don't know. This is also like, I have music that always, fighting the system, and like, I have a lot of scrutiny against censorship and stuff. So that's kind of where I come from.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing.
It's definitely a tricky thing. Yeah, for sure.
It's one of those things like everybody has their stance and opinion about how they go about that word and how they would approach it if it's ever, presented to them. And then when it happens, some view it as, oh, I didn't know I was doing this. I didn't know I was doing that. And I think for that guy, it was pretty apparent. However way he thought it was going. I think he released a statement about it. And I was like, okay, but yeah, like I try to give everybody some grace. When they come across and say it, like, I'm just like, what? Like, I don't automatically think like you're racist, but I just want to know like what made you comfortable to, say that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely fair. And there's the obvious dynamic when when somebody white is using it like that. There's obviously, context in that like, it's not appropriate.
Yeah,
like I wouldn't just like I wouldn't just like have you over and be like,
oh yeah, like
or like anybody,
everybody would approach it. Some people might want to like understand or talk with them and then whoop their ass, or somebody might just want to talk with you and whoop your ass at the same time. But like it just has to get to a level-headed understanding and conversation.
Yeah, create like an environment where you can be honest about it. I truly believe that like the people who use that word in a racist fashion are like, no, I won't even say 9 times out of 10. Almost every time are a fucking idiot.
Oh yeah.
I grew up, or not grew up. I for a short stint I lived in a town called Canton, South Dakota with my now ex-wife, and that word was like prevalent. They would drop that. They dropped faggot. Like it was just like it was lawless essentially. I'd be at like family gatherings and they would just drop it all the time. I'd be like, I'm gonna go home.
I'd knock over the whole dinner table. Y'all can eat the food on the floor. Out here saying that shit.
Yeah, like I lived in Des Moines before this. I grew up in Orange City, but like that was kind of an interesting dynamic. Is like, that town had more racism than like the hardcore religious aspect. I feel like my town, it was like the inverse of it.
Orange City.
Yeah, Orange City in Iowa. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, it's a very cultish, like super religious town, and like I'm not gonna say it would like never run into racism. It definitely happened, but like on a scale, I feel like it was just kind of it was an interesting like inverse. You ran into more of the religious aspect in Orange City than you ran into more like the racist, bigoted aspect.
Okay. Yeah, that is interesting.
Also in different states, so maybe that's something to do with it. Probably not. But.
Yeah. It's some towns around here in Iowa, that you definitely feel a religious and racist aspect, and it's a lot of the smaller towns in Iowa. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's just kind of interesting because I think a lot of people think they kind of go hand in hand, but like those two experiences, it was not the case.
No, I feel like they're separate.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, separate.
I don't know if you know him, Obbs. Aubrey Barnes. He's been on the podcast several times. He's a good friend. He left his church because he felt that there was a lot of like deep-seated racism. Like he just felt really discriminated. Like I think his father was even a pastor, maybe still is a pastor, but like he just felt like a lot of racism and a lot of like like sexual things going on in the background and stuff like that. And he just like, I mean, that it was just kind of interesting because like that's why he left. It was like the racist aspect
in a church, which is the interesting thing. Like that's not allowed in a church. Like racism. Like you're going to church to talk to God and things like that, and racism is being brought to the forefront. Yeah, for me that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's fucked up. And like I don't know if you're religious or, but like there are institutions that just whether or not they the people who follow them or have good intentions, like a lot of them just fall under the like they fall under the cover of being able to do malicious things. That's like I always talk about this. Like as an atheist, I always say like people say like hate the sin, not the sinner. I say like hate the belief, not the believer. Like my target isn't the people who not that I have a target, but like the what I fight against isn't the people who believe in God, but like the institutions that are like doing these like the Catholic Church, like being involved in pedophilia and things like that. Like that's
sick.
That's the stuff. That's the stuff as an atheist like I want to take down. I'm not like Bill Maher. Like I don't know how you feel about him. I do like him on a lot of things, but I will admit like he has the tendency to like go to people and like have these like religious debates, but it serves no purpose besides like his comedic entertainment, which is fine. But like you're not actually gonna come to any conclusion. Like you're like a comedian Anthony Jeselnik, who's also an atheist, he said this like it gives them no satisfaction to like convince someone that like they don't believe in God. Like if I were to get into like a debate with like a grandma and I were to convince her that there's no God, she's like a devout Christian, and then by the end of however long we talk, no God, like her reality is completely shattered at that point. And whether or not like it's quote unquote good that she doesn't believe in God, like she's not going to be happy about that. That is like the double-edged sword of like atheism, is like you kind of have like a not narcissistic, well sometimes narcissistic, but nihilistic attitude about where you're like, sometimes things just don't matter. Like there is definitely that crux to it.
No, I definitely feel. I do believe in God and things like that, but all like the whole thing that you touched on with like the whole Catholic Church and pedophilia, that I don't understand. That like it becomes such a constant thing that you see today, and I don't get where that starts from or where it comes from. It's
I think it's just like dark. Like are you familiar with like Carl Hart?
No.
Or like Jordan Peterson or anything like that? They talk a lot about like the shadow, which is like the theory is that every single person has a really dark, horrible side to them, and people think that like avoiding that is the answer, but really it's the opposite. Like the theory is that the more you confront your shadow and try to work through it, the better of a person you're gonna be. I think some of the faults of a lot of these institutions is that they don't confront the shadow. They're like, they cast the shadow as a devil, and it's like the devil, it's bad. It's like, okay, but you're not. I mean, I think they do. Maybe they have the intention with like confession and things like that, but they don't really like get to the core of like, why is this person doing the things they are? It's just like, okay, go to church. Hey, I did this. Okay, say your prayers. You're done.
Right.
Like, and it doesn't translate. Like, if in theory, somebody could be like a serial killer and just go to church every week, and they're like, hey, I killed 10 more people, and the priest is like, oh, naughty. No, that's bad.
No real pray. Action. Yeah, you can't pray about that.
And they'll tell them every time that they should turn themselves in, but they never do. Or like if they don't, then they just keep going to confession. The priest has just be like, okay, At least in the Catholic Church, I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I was raised strict Catholic, so
yeah, I didn't go to no. I didn't go to no confession. I know I was asked to, but I was like, I ain't got nothing to confess about, so I don't.
That's good. You get touched the first time you go. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, hell, that's probably the reason why I felt like I didn't need to go.
That's the initiation. They give you the Eucharist, and they're like, all right, pull down your pants.
Fuck no. That's wicked. Wicked.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Michael, we're at hour 12 already. We've been going for a minute.
Wow.
Now that I'm just curious, is there anything else you want to touch on or talk about before we do the last thing here?
Nothing really. I just want to touch base. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, man. Fuck yeah.
It's always a pleasure coming here. It's a great vibe, great conversation. I kind of just want to just let everybody know, like, hey, like I really don't even want to say the release date, but I just know once June comes around the corner, like I got a new single.
Okay.
It's called "It's Me, C'est Moi," and it's really a generalization of like how I've been feeling for like a hot minute. Since what I want to say, July, August was when I dropped last year, new music. And from, I want to say even a little bit before that, maybe February, up until now, is like, that song is how I've been feeling. And, it's, I feel like it's somewhat of relapse in a sense, meaning not even lyric wise, just being direct and cutthroat and like how I'm feeling. Because like as a teaser, like I'm gonna let y'all know, like the beginning starts off with a female on a voice recording, and the girl goes, who, Michael? Oh, he ain't shit. I would never date him. Huh. And then, the melody and the beat is playing. That's how it starts off. So that sets the tone for the song already. From there, like I'm just belting out how I feel and emotions and stuff like that. And I think as y'all can tell, like I'm passionate about this single dropping. So that is the lead on to the EP. The EP, I have a date. I'm not gonna say it or have it really set in stone, but I'll drop singles leading up to the EP. So after like 3-4 weeks after the first one, I might drop the second one and third one. By the third one, I'll give y'all the EP with the the rest of the 3 songs for a total of 6. So I'm just very super excited about it. Like I'm ready to drop some new stuff.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, well I'll see on your Instagram and all that you're working, and
yeah.
I was telling Molly, she's not here, girlfriend / podcast slave now.
Oh yeah, I remember her from last time.
Yeah, but she was I'm just kidding about that, but we were talking. I was like, you have this this image and this persona, and like you do a very good job of like presenting it in like every aspect.
Oh man, I appreciate that.
And like you have a very clear image of like what you want to do, and it's fucking awesome, man.
I appreciate that. I credit that to like everybody I watched growing up, who's had success in the music industry, from African artists to American artists, pop, some country, even like looking at like how like my peers, like my creative brothers like Muiz, Io, even like my father, like even like everybody that I value their opinion, how they approach things in their craft, is very it's like very professional, very like unique, and I try to be that way presenting everything I do. So that way, like when yourself or whoever comes to me and looks at my shit, they're like, oh, this dude is very professional and consistent. Because I don't knock anybody down who like just drop stuff whenever just for the fun of it. But I want to know when I drop something, I'm not hesitant about it. I'm like, yo, I'm giving y'all my all. So like I try to like have a professional like approach to it, but still being myself, unique and funny, and just like try to be as authentic as possible. Yeah.
That's fucking awesome, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Fuck yeah, I love what you do. We got one more thing before we wrap up. I don't know if you've ever seen us do this.
Snap.
It's called the Fucked Up Bucket.
Fucked Up Bucket.
So we don't have too many, actually. I need to go through some more drafts. But we have a couple things here on slips of paper that I like to have my guests read out loud. You do not have to do it if you do not want to, but that makes you a pussy. So
I ain't no pussy. You
gotta do it. Yeah.
All right. So pick one
and just read it out loud.
This one says, which is worse? Licking your mom's asshole, the bottom of an ice cream cone, or drinking a cup of your dad's cum?
Asshole like an ice cream cone. I would say that's for me.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that like, I can't even answer it. Like, I'm uncomfortable. Like, this is my answer. I'm like it just got 10 degrees hotter in this room. I'm like,
it was already a hot summer day, and then the McAllister was geared on for the last.
it's one of those he read like.
All right, I'm a pussy. I admit it.
Oh no, it's an ice cream cone. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, thank you,
man.
That's great. Yeah, a lot of these are from marijuana alcohol fueled. Sitting on my fucking couch, contemplating the world's answers. How much time do you think Macaulay Culkin spends staying up at night thinking, why didn't he pick me?
Unlimited amount of time. Every night.
Every day.
Every night and day.
Every time he fucking takes a bump, he's like, fucking
God
Michael,
damn
man.
it.
Michael, why didn't you love me? Why wasn't I the best?
No answers. He has a lot of sleepless ass nights. I know that. No sleep.
Oh shit. Well, thank you for being good sport, that man. That's
I ain't no pussy. Nah,
I appreciate.
You gotta
that.
have fun, ain't it?
We don't have pussios on the show. They're not allowed. They don't make it. They don't do long.
No, they gotta get out. If somebody says no, it's more like, all right, you can head out. We're deleting the footage too.
Yeah.
You gotta go. I don't know what you thought this was, but you had to read it and you didn't. You failed.
Nah, man. I'm a capitalist. I'm saying it's bad. I'm gonna make money off that shit. It could be the worst fucking episode. Other people are still good. They'll still watch it,
Put some clickbait to it. Promote the hell out of it. Like, yep, this is that one bad episode of yours.
Yeah, I feel bad. I feel like every time you see like a 20-minute episode, there's like a good chance that it's like, yeah, there's a reason for it,
Yeah.
It's like going back to like how like I don't listen to him a ton, but I had my kick Joe Rogan, like he'll do like the 2-hour episodes and then he'll do like the 4 or 5 hour episodes. And you're like, okay, those are the homies,
Yep. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Honestly, this one would have gone longer, but it's fucking hot up here, man.
No, I feel that. I feel that. I'm like, I feel my stomach sweating already, but no, I definitely feel you like on like the stuff like the Breakfast Club or Power 105, those interviews. Like I look at the artists that go on there, and then you'll tell by the ones that are good ones by the hour and 30 versus somebody who's there for like 20 to 30 minutes. You could tell maybe the vibe was off, or you don't even gotta watch it. You could just be like, oh, this wasn't a good interview. Like, nah.
Yeah. My worst response to question is, it's a vibe. I want to slap the fucking person whenever they say that. I'm not going to say them because I still respect them, but like I had someone come on and like every other question they were like, hey, it's a vibe. It's just a vibe. I'm like, motherfucker, that's nothing. That like anybody could say that.
I would get so upset. I would have to cut the podcast. I had like, dude, like, no disrespect, but is anything else, like, you got anything else to say? Then, it's a vibe.
Yeah. That was the moment where I decided, okay, I'm charging these motherfuckers.
Oh, yeah. I feel like people who do shit like that, like, when they do shit like that, they're doing it to, like, make themselves look a certain way or, like, a certain image. Like, if that's all you do, then...
Yeah. And honestly, I don't even like, that's kind of my thing, is like I don't even have a problem with that,
right?
But like, pay me,
right?
That's the difference. Like, you're not gonna come out for free and do that,
right?
Like I was explaining this to the last people I had, like people that like come on and they get like 200 of their goons and they watch like 5 seconds of an episode and then they never come back to the channel. That literally does not help me at all. Like, literally all it does is it makes your video show up higher in my most popular list.
Yeah.
But like, that doesn't really do anything for me. And like I said, again, that's fine. You got to pay me,
Yeah, because in a sense, it's wasting your time. Yeah,
exactly. It is wasting my time.
Yeah,
like literally, and like that's the big turn off for me too. Like, if you waste my time, then yeah, I'm not gonna let you waste any more of it.
Yeah, it's a lot you probably do outside of this, like the post production, editing, uploading. Like it's a lot of time you're spending and money too. So it's just like, hey, you're gonna do this.
Yeah. Well, I'm at the point now where, I rely on like a content flow. So like, if I have a guest bail last minute without paying me, then I have to like do some bullshit thing where I talk for 20 minutes and it's just not going to be as good.
Right.
I'm not going to get the clips out of it. I'm not going to, it's just not worth it.
People got to understand that in this business, I feel.
Yeah. So that's for you motherfuckers.
Yeah, pretty sure y'all heard yesterday's price is not today's price. I know Fat Joe said that, and a couple of motherfuckers. Yesterday's price is not today's price.
You ordered Diet Coke. That's a joke, right? It's such a good album. Oh, that's the one thing that makes me want to try cocaine. That fucking
Hell
album.
no. I can't. I'll smoke a whole ton of